so welcome back to my channel. So today it will be one of our lessons, and we're gonna set up well, I guess a jump, or it's more like a cavalletti's height, but we'll do just a small jump to kind of get her work into her jumps a little bit. We haven't jumped really much into this outdoor arena yet, so we're just kind of, you know, deciding to do something a little bit different today, and just decided to try it a little bit. And then I will let you know that that day was so noisy, you guys, like so noisy. There was just so much stuff happening, even though it's just the two of us, me and my coach, oh, and of course Hazel, in the arena. There's still a lot of action going on around us. There's horses being brought in for the day. There's people calling, yelling, there's planes landing, and a lot of stuff is going on. So I'm just super glad that the lesson really went well. And she didn't get too distracted by it. But I must say, sometimes when it gets really noisy, it's just really hard for me to keep the contact with Hazel. And it's just, I don't really like that feeling where you just have control, lose control, have control, lose control. So, you know, that's definitely something we gotta work on. So I'm just giving Hazel an A++, because compared to the other time, she did so much better. She's actually a little bit more focused. And I think the more we're gonna ride outside, the better it's gonna be for both of us. So Hazel's gonna be able to just focus and just carry on. So my coach just set up a small jump, and I'm just working at getting Hazel warmed up for the lesson. So we're just doing a little bit of trot. I'm always trying to make sure that I get good contact and good responses from Hazel, and that she's like fully there with me, and that she's responsive. So that's something I'm always kind of testing. And I also make sure that she stays on the bit as well, and that she's kind of mentally and physically ready to go for our lessons. So as you can see, I am well warmed up. So Hazel is warmed up as well, so we're getting ready to start a lesson soon. It always kind of does the same thing. When Hazel's kind of, you know, almost ready for the warm-up, I'm usually ready to remove whatever sweater I have on. I get like, I guess I'm getting almost as sweaty as my horse is. Like, Hazel's a very heavy sweater. And I think that, I don't know why, like, I get so hot so quick when it comes to warming up and things like that. So I always remove like my jacket, but I'm the type of person that's always, you know, always kind of cold, so I always bring something just in case. But most of the time when I ride, I just get so hot, I just take it off right away. So here our lesson's about to start. I'm getting Hazel to do the last quick steps to be warmed up. So we're just making sure I get her on the focus, get her shoulders centered under herself, so she's not shoulder in or shoulder out. She's just right on with her nice shoulders. And so that's something that I'm working on with her, especially that she's been throwing her shoulders at me different random place. I just really want to make sure that I always stay centered and focused. Those shoulders tend to always either lean in or pop out, so I'm just really working on that. And then my coach is reviewing my saddle position with me, just because she's noticed that my saddle is actually not well adjusted to me as a rider, so we're just kind of working on that. Another thing I wanted to mention is my t-shirt is from the Equestrian brand, and honestly guys, I live in those t-shirts. They're super comfortable, so I really recommend it to any rider or even anyone that likes horses, because they have cute designs on them, and like I said, the cotton is literally amazing. They also have some lovely t-shirts in bamboo as well, if ever you need more like natural fabric and stuff. They definitely have those, and they're just as light. So here we're just taking a little moment here because I had someone asking me a question about mane's length and how I trimmed my horse's mane. So for those of you that have some questions about the mane length, so what I was telling her is that I trimmed Hazel's mane with hairdresser scissors, and I also trimmed the mane at 7 inches on the dot. I actually measured it. And that is because it is the length for dressage. But if you're deciding to show into the hunters or the jumpers, you might want to go shorter for the mane, so it would put you between 4 and 6 inches of a mane, depending on how your horses look, their conformation, their neck size as well. So if you have a horse that has a very developed neck, you can opt for a shorter mane. Or a longer one if you like, but if you have a horse with a very thin neck, you would want to go shorter rather than longer, just because you want to make sure that you showcase the neck muscle as much as possible. So now that everybody's question has been answered, we can get back to the lesson here. So putting Hazel in a nice working trot, it seems like she's doing really well. It's been taking me such a huge learning curve, I guess, to kind of get her into that working trot, because we worked so hard on keeping her into a consistent trot, which is, I guess, more her collected trot, if you will, in the dressage saddle. So when we were working with her over the winter, we worked on her, making sure that we can kind of compress and get her to really compress her trot a lot. So now we're asking her to go a little bit faster, so it's a little hard for me to kind of make sure that she stays consistent with that. So I have to really kind of keep on reminding her and just putting my leg at the right time to make sure that she goes and keeps that that flow going with the working trot. So now it's time to see what we've got today. So we're putting her into a nice canter and see what kind of mood we're at, like if she's doing well or not. In the past few lessons we had outside, Hazel has been kind of running a little bit through my hands. So we're really making sure that we have good control, and so that we can get a nice consistent canter if ever she lands on the proper lead. So that's really important. And as you can see here, Hazel did pretty well overall. Like, she was in pretty much self-carriage when she cantered, but she tends sometimes to just kind of jack her head and just pull it down a lot, so it just brings me a little bit off balance there. And here she just kind of fast forwarded between trot and her canter, so we just kind of stop it there, backed her up, and then we're gonna try again. So she's just supposed to pick up the canter and not just have a fast forward trot in between her normal trot and the canter. So we're just working in just picking up the canter and making sure that she keeps staying in it without rooting, without pulling in any manner, just kind of carry herself into it. So here we had Hazel reacting to a herd of horses galloping in the paddock to get brought in. So I'm just keeping my cool and just backing her up Obviously, when these kind of things happen, you just really have to think to straighten yourself out. Just sit straight and tall, and just stay relaxed no matter what you do. So like that, you stay in a saddle, and then you just kind of carry afterwards. So now we're just pushing her back into the canter like nothing happened, and just kind of really working on making those smaller circles to make sure I get the right and proper control. So of course it's now time to just change the sides here and see what we can do in that direction. I believe this direction is the one that she is sometimes a little bit like falling apart or crumbling a little bit more than the previous direction, but she usually steps into the canter a little bit more nicely in that way. Some of the things that she tends to do lately is kind of over bend her neck, and just giving too much to the pressure. Like, not that I'm putting a lot, but she's just kind of jamming her head down, and it's just really hard for me to ride her that way. So I'm making sure that I'm correcting her and just pushing her forward so she can raise her head a little bit and just stay with me in the contact. So as soon as I feel like I have a good connection, I'm gonna push her into the canter. And as you can see, it makes it much easier and much softer when I actually make sure that I have that. As you can see here, Hazel's like being a little rowdy. I think there was also some other noise going on. So I'm just trying to really work through every single one of those noises and just making sure that no matter what's going on, even if there's a bomb set off somewhere, we're just keep on going. Because at the end of the day, we're just there to do our job. Doesn't matter if there's a lot of distractions. And I think Hazel is really picking up on this really quickly, and I'm really happy with that, because we don't want a horse that's paying attention to every single little detail on the outdoors, the bugs, the snails, the people that are walking, people that are yelling, people that are doing this and that. Like, she still has to stay collected, stay with me the whole time mentally, because if not, we'll never get through it. So it's really important to be kind of strict with that from the get-go. So now that we got a full warm-up, it's time to see what we're going to do with that jump here. So my coach is just explaining me what I should focus on in order to be able to get over it. Obviously, it's not the biggest jump in history, but we just need to start somewhere. I think it's her first jump outside, like I said, so it's just to kind of get her introduced or reintroduced to the jumps, but on the outdoors now. And we believe that she is actually capable of focusing on this task, because she's been it's been a couple weeks now that we've been working her on the outdoors. She had spooks, she had distractions, she's worked a little bit through that, so we think that she can definitely handle that jump without any issue. Obviously it's not the highest jump, like I said, so it should be just a little hop over, and we should be good from there. As my coach often says, it's not really about the height of the jump that will make a horse a great jumper. It's more about the techniques you get through the jump. So you want to really make sure that your horse is able to get through the lowest jumps so they can actually move on to bigger ones later on. It's definitely, Hazel has proven herself that she knows how to jump and that she can jump higher, obviously, but the point here is to just really work on her form and her attitude over and at the reception of the jump and all of these kind of position before, during, and after, to make sure that we have great jumps. We also had some issues with straightness, which is something we're going to work on as well today. So here it is, just a miscalculation from my part. I don't know why sometimes I have those like moments where my brain's like a little numb, I guess. I just have like difficulty sometimes to kind of measure and see where I'm supposed to be at, especially like sometimes I get caught up in some other notions and I just kind of, you know, lose focus or track onto what I have to do and when I have to do it. So what ended up happening is I didn't turn the right like soon enough to take the jump. So I'm just kind of working on that right now and just trying to assess the distances and the direction. So we're gonna just take this all the way from the beginning because it happens. Sometimes you're just not fully there, but you have to. So we're just gonna see how I do this time. So that one was a little bit better because we were centered to the jump. It's just that there is another ground pole on the other side and Hazel was just kind of freaked out a little bit by the fact there was a ground pole there. So by going over a couple times, it's going to help her kind of relax and see that it's no big deal. So as you can see here, she knew there was a pole on the other side and she didn't really react. She was just like totally chill with it. Sometimes it's just, you know, obviously practice makes perfect, so we just have to kind of go over and a couple times and just so I can get adjusted and she can get adjusted to it too. Like I said, jumping is not my go-to discipline and it's been so long since I've actually jumped a horse that it honestly it's almost like as if I have to like start from scratch, honestly. The distances, the calculations and all that, like I'm not like on point with that. I really have to work on that, and as well as my 2 points, sometimes that's just a little weak, but you know, I can't just grow muscles like that, so I really have to kind of work on that for myself. So as you guys can see, this jump is definitely much better. Like I got this a little bit more figured out. We're more centered and we've got the, you know, the rhythm is the same, it's consistent. So we're definitely on the right track there. So I just have to keep on going a couple times, like I said. It's just for me, sometimes it's a little hard to kind of gauge how, when I have to turn and how I have to line up. So it takes me a little bit of time. But overall, the horse is doing great. She's going over every single jump you put in front of her. She's rarely refusing anything. I don't think she actually did refuse any jumps yet. So she's just going over it like a trooper. So now we're gonna go on to the other side and we're gonna do the exact same exercise. So as I said, there is a pole before that small jump and there is a pole after the jump. So it's just making sure that she can get over it. On this side of her brain, or on this hand, if you will, she's a little bit more aggressive on that side. Like she's gonna jump a little higher. She's gonna actually take the jump like and go with it. Like even though it's super low, she just usually kind of over jumps on the side a little bit. So it takes her a couple times as well to kind of gauge that she can get away with her legs, not, you know, all the way up in the air, like all the way up to her face. She doesn't need to take it as a full jump. It's almost like a cavaletti, but actually it's even a little bit easier because it's a small X. So as you will see here, we're doing much better. I was just a little bit too aggressive with my hands when we landed. My coach asked me to basically just collect her as soon as I can when we land. And it's just sometimes, like I said, like I just have to kind of put a lot of things into my mind. So I'm just trying to put everything into the right order and do it at the right time. And sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. So this time here though, you could see that she had it way better. She was more with me, so it was easier for me to just kind of stop her, back her up, and just carry on afterwards. So it's just to make sure that the horse, when it jumps and the jump is over, the horse doesn't start like racing afterwards, like just start bolting. So you really have to make sure that your horse stays with you the whole time. So the whole point with Hazel just going over the jump and then stopping or backing up is just to be like, hey, okay, I need to pay attention to my rider at that time. What do I do when I'm done with that jump? Just because, let's say you have a full circuit, you want to make sure your horse is not going to start jumping like every single jump afterwards, like just randomly. You have to have control of your horse at all times. So before and after the jump is really important. During the jump, that's the horse's job to just, you know, figure their leg placement and how they have to land this jump. You just have to take them to it and take them afterwards as well. So that's why we're working on this kind of exercise. So my coach actually said that soon enough we'll be starting to just, you know, put more jumps. So we're gonna start adding a second jump on the same side and getting her to kind of do a bounce or something like that. So that's gonna need a lot of, you know, making sure that the horse is right with me, right? She has to make sure that we have control so we can, you know, effectively do both jumps, one after the other. So here we had a nice jump, but it took me a little bit too long to kind of like basically keep Hazel a little bit more contained. Like she was a little bit more like a dragon when she landed. She landed and just carried on like crazy. So I have to just make sure I get a little bit more control. Sometimes it's hard because I'm also thinking, oh, does she have the proper lead? Can we canter? Can we do something else? So it's like, I don't know, sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed with a lot of things going through my brain. So I just have to make sure I really pay attention and that make sure that I don't let her run off after she's done jumping. So doing a change of direction here, we're just gonna go the same way we did at first. So as you can see here, the straightness is definitely more improved. I'm definitely a little bit better at gauging the distance as well, and Hazel is just, you know, wonderful because she basically figured that she doesn't need to bolt or she doesn't need to jump and bolt afterwards. So we're all on the same page and it's just lining up perfectly. So this lesson is officially done. So we did pretty good actually. We had a lot of noise and interruptions and distractions, but I always take every single little step and every single little moments like that to just taking it as a learning curve, either for me or either for the horse. It doesn't really matter. When we have a situation like that, we just gotta get through it. So just by thinking smart and staying calm and just you know, letting the horse kind of express that emotion and finish with it, but also guiding them as well through as to, what you want to do next, right? So you just always want to be with them, but you also want to carry them forward and push them forward a little bit so they can get out of their head a little bit. So it does happen. The horse does poop, does tend to do that. Like, I don't think there's a lot of horses that are like totally like perfect, if there is. But yeah, Hazel is a young horse and I think she's doing pretty good. Given the level of distractions that we had, I was actually quite satisfied with the lesson. So sometimes it's the small step that makes the bigger step. So I'm just taking it like that as a lovely lesson there. So what I like to do when the lesson is completed, or just for cooling off or cooling down a little bit, is just taking Hazel all the way around the arena. And I find that's also a great exercise as well, to just get her to stay calm and stay with the rider and avoid distractions. Just because, you know, if you always stay in the same end of the arena and you never go to the other end, it just makes them a little bit more prone to spooking because they don't really know what's there. So you have to get them really like you know, desensitized to everything that could be out there. So I'm just going there with her. We're just relaxing and doing a nice turn of the arena. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this lovely video, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye for now.